That's what I hear.
I'm ready. Is everybody else? Okay, Ally, would you like to call the roll
Sure. Fred Malo,
here?
Sam Kobrick,
Present.
Kevin Hanian,
Here.
Doug Goldsmith,
Here.
Beth Shoemaker. Okay, you have quorum.
Okay, next we need to approve the minutes of the August 18th meeting. Has everybody read them? Anybody have any questions about them? Corrections?
No.
Then I move that we approve the meeting minutes of the August 18th meeting. Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, is there anyone here that has public comment? All right, then we will move on to the trustee and staff report. Chris isn't here yet. Huh?
Shoot.
So we'll go to Scott and you can tell us what's going on. There's quite a bit of discussion about climate related, the path to net zero in last Tuesday's board trustees meeting, I understand.
I understand that as well, and I believe the person that presented on that is here tonight, so I'm gonna just defer and let her speak to that when she gets here, or gets up here. Is that okay, Lauren? Great. I don't know what else is going on in town. I've been so solely engrossed in utilities work, because I'm over busy, but I can give you some updates on a few of my projects, and maybe you can ask me questions on anything else that you think is going on in town, and maybe there's a small memory in the back of my brain for that. For utilities, we presented a draft budget last Tuesday? Last Tuesday? Time is flying, sorry, I can't keep track of it all. And we did a lot of capital planning and kind of spread out all of our projects. So we have a good idea where utilities is going. And I think there's a lot of good things there. Things that will ideally save energy consumption, save water. So I think we have a nice plan there. If you wanted to look at the last Board of Trustees packet, all my 25-year capital plan is in that packet. So feel free to dig in and see what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna explain it all now. It's 2 months of work. The hydro project was operable, is operable. We got that is started generating electricity, and we had our DOLA grant official come take a look at it. They were happy with it, so we're gonna be working towards closing out our grant, which is great. There are small issues with it, so we have now pulled the generator and the turbine and the actuator out to go get repaired, because right after we started up, it broke. So it's the project that just keeps giving.
So it's not operable.
It's close. It ran. We generated electricity for a couple days. It's not too bad. The bearings kind of went out on it. I think part of just having taken so long to get installed and operable. So we're getting new bearings pressed into the generator. We have to do some machining on there's like these nozzles that kind of direct the spray of the water, kind of spear nozzles is what they're called. They need to get machined a little bit so they can actually seal, not leak, things like that. And then an actuator is working in manual mode, but not automatic. So that's what we're working on. But someday very soon, we are going to generate electricity, and it's going to be grand.
More than 2 days.
For more than 2 days.
Well, congrats on the 2 days.
The 2 days is a great step. And as soon as we get it dialed in, we're going to do a ribbon cutting, and we'll keep you guys in the loop. And someday I will get you all up there so we can go see it. So, and it's getting close. We might be trekking up there in the snow though. So that's hydro. Got a big treatment plant project going on at the Roaring Fork Treatment Plant. We're gonna be doing a big filter project. That bid, we got the project out to bid and we have selected a GC. And on the next Board of Trustees meeting, I'm hoping to get that into the agenda and we'll execute a contract and get that moving. So this is a cool thing because this is the first step in us being able to build resiliency for our whole water system. So right now, as you might have heard, we had over the summer while we were, everybody was in peak demand, peak water consumption. We had just a minor failure on the Nettle Creek main line. So we were down to just 100 gallons per minute coming into town from the Nettle Creek plant. And we had to tell everybody to conserve water and we were barely making it. So thankfully everybody responded and we were able to reduce our water consumption for a little while and we were able to catch up and get that repaired. But it goes to show you that we need to keep building resiliency. We need to be able to handle breakdowns like that. So.
And this might be more detailed than what we need right now, but what is the filter? Why is the filter important as step one?
Yeah, so right now what is in the Roaring Fork treatment plant is a pretty complex, they call it a membrane filter system. It consumes a lot of water, goes through a backwash cycle every 11 minutes. It requires like an acid wash occasionally. It takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of energy. And when those were installed in 2001, that was appropriate technology. Now the state has approved these cartridge filters. They're literally like a filter that would be in your refrigerator, but just on a massive scale. Like it's just real simple. So we're just ripping out all the complex energy intensive stuff and putting in some simple cartridge filters. And yeah. And then what's cool about us is they're real small and compact. So we'll be able to just we'll have two of them, two sets, and then we'll be able to continue to expand to two more sets once we install more wells. And then that plant eventually will be able to take on the whole town if needed, to do
Wow,
peak demand. That's the kind of the first goal over the next 5 or so years.
that's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
So cool stuff there.
On that too, yeah, and we're gonna get to VCAPS later on the agenda, it looks like, but I was reading through VCAPS and it seems like there's a little bit of a disconnect between like what Gwen had laid out there and what you're saying here, like, I mean, your take sounds a lot more optimistic, which is good. When you're thinking about like a 2040 drought scenario, are you most worried about our physical ability to pump? Like, what do you see as the bottleneck? Our physical ability to pump, the actual flow in the river, or like our legal senior rights?
I mean, they all interplay, right?
Yeah.
So they're all intersected in how they impact. So if there were a water rights call, for example, we have to have the water rights. So we need to make sure that we're building our treatment plants or enhancing our treatment plants, I should say, to maximize our senior water rights. So that way we don't get called out and have a lack of water. So we have to use that. We did see like this year, our Nettle Creek facility did not operate at 100% all year because we never had enough water. So that's something, I mean, we had water all year, but typically that plant maxes out at about 450 gallons per minute right now. And we ran at 350 all year. So we're kind of missing 100. That's all we had. There are additional water rights up there, but we have to be able to treat the other creek, which is surface water, where the South Nettle Creek that we do treat is a spring-fed source, so it's much easier. And so in that capital plan, we do have things built for like enhancing Nettle Creek, so that way we can take from either water source, whatever makes sense. It's kind of the kind of stuff that we're trying to accomplish. Biggest thing that we're working on for resiliency is like I feel like our biggest risk is wildfire at Nettle Creek. So that's why we're focusing here, because if Nettle ever even didn't say Nettle plant itself was fine, but it burnt the source and we had ash in the water, we would have to be able to take that plant offline for an extended period of time. So that's why we're working on Roaring Fork first. So, and we have we have a augmentation plan from RUDI, and there's, you know, it's more protected in terms of our water source.
So that augmentation plan is, who owns the water rights for Rudai?
We have 500 acre feet in RUDI.
Okay, so that's to put it back in the Roaring Fork there, and then we could take from further downstream.
Yep.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yep. No, good questions. I'd be happy to have a coffee with you and geek out and tell you all the plans that we have. Take the whole time here tonight, though. I don't want to do that. And we replaced Roaring Fork well number 1, finished our pump test. That was successful. It's a positive thing. It's going to, so did our pump test, that went well. We took our samples, submitted those to the lab. As soon as we get the lab results, that goes to the state. The state takes however long they take to approve the well, and then we'll get that thing into service. So it's a good thing. I don't know if you recall that all 3 of our current well casings out there are starting to fail. So we're having to replace them bit by bit. So each year we're going to replace one. And then the last thing is, speaking of the state, the state just rolled out that even though federal EPA is basically backed off of their push on wastewater treatment plant nutrient loading regulations, the state is continuing to push that forward. So that means we are also getting ready for wastewater treatment plant upgrades in the next 5 years or so. 2033 is when the most stringent regulations are expected. So lots going on. Gosh, and I don't know. I know that the building department had the roof for town hall out. I think there was a solar component. I did give them Sam's analysis. So I think that is moving forward, but I don't know current status.
So is the roof going to be replaced or repaired?
I have to go dig that up.
They haven't decided yet.
I just don't know. I get stuck in my little hole over there by, you know, by the trailer park, and I don't get to over here to town hall very often.
It's fancy over here.
Yeah, it's fancy. Yeah, sorry, I don't have any other good info. Any questions about town?
Yes, this is something I've already talked to Chris about. A solar panel installer complained to me that Carbondale is just about the slowest town around as far as getting solar panel permits. And the reason for that is XL. Is there something we can do about that? Is there some contact at XL that we can talk to and ask them to speed up? Because we're kind of under the gun here because the tax rebates for that are set to expire at the end of the year.
Yeah, so you were told that it's Excel that's holding it up?
Yes. And Chris confirmed that.
What?
I can ask the building official. I'm pleased to hear that it's not the building official or somebody in town hall holding it up. So
Well, they're saying the holdup is XL.
Now I can ask them and see if there's anything that we can move forward.
Okay.
What permits does the town require absent net metering interconnection through Excel? Like, does the town require
There is a photovoltaic permit, an electrical permit, I believe, with solar, and I only know that from doing solar on my own house. I
Yeah.
can't say I've ever interacted with it as a town employee.
Okay, appreciate it if you look into that.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Fred, to your point though, the solar installer said Carbondale was the slowest town around.
Yes,
Where I think if Excel was the problem, then it would be almost a statewide issue.
yes.
So I'm like,
But, you know, like Aspen is a Holy Cross.
right,
And, you know, I think Glenwood has their own power, so we're the only one, I think, that's,
in their jurisdiction, okay,
yeah,
okay.
relying on XL. And, they're taking their time about issuing the permits. And time is of the essence.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I'll ask. You want me to shoot you an answer via email or wait till
Sure.
next meeting? Okay.
And question of the public said, I just put solar on my house. It took a month. I'm like signing a contract with the contractor for the permits with the town and Excel Energy. And I think Excel Energy does do electricity for Aspen. Holy Cross is gas. But I still don't know about the pacing,
No.
but I think a month is pretty reasonable.
Holy Cross is electric.
Is it also electric
Yeah.
for Aspen? Okay, thanks for clarifying, but it was a month from.
That's too long.
Install.
I mean, that's, doesn't take a month to install them, you know. But,
Sharing.
just getting the permits shouldn't take a month.
Yeah, I think this would probably be Public Utility Commission at the state level would have oversight of this. I do know Excel has a push for like fast tracking permits. They want more capacity right now. But they're a huge entity, and so there's probably a lot of red tape in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I could only, I just suspect that if it's anything like Carbondale, we're just buried in the number of people applying for things. You know, it's the sheer quantity is more than we've ever seen, and we
Right.
just can't process fast enough. We can't hire people fast enough. We can't review permits fast enough. You know, from the building community, there's a lot of frustration with our building department being able to get things going, but you know, not providing all excuses, but you know, the Board of Trustees wanted a whole code revision, so that took the building officials time away from reviewing permits to do codes. So now he's back into permits and he's just trying to catch up. So I can imagine Excel's probably similar. Everyone is on the deadline, so they probably just got crushed with thousands of permits or something.
That's good.
That's
But
good.
bad for
Bad.
them.
All at the same time.
Any other questions for Scott? You're gonna, you said somebody else is gonna fill us in on the town board meeting, last Tuesday? One of these ladies?
Oh, it's in terms of.
Oh,
the-
Lauren? Okay.
Yeah, I think Lauren will jump in to talk about the path to net zero,
Why don't we skip to, Lauren then and,
right?
get an, update from you?
We're at the whole clear update.
Yeah, would it be okay if we just did our clear update then right now?
Sure.
Conversations? Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Serbier with CLEER, and I wanted to introduce you to Emily Williams Best.
Hi, yeah, I'm the education and outreach manager in Clan. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, I haven't seen you in a long time and seeing how you're pretty, are you new?
We're all new.
Oh, everything.
My first meeting, you came and gave an update.
Oh,
Yeah.
great, fantastic. Nice to see you again.
Thanks.
So it sounds like Ally was able to get
Yeah, these are gonna be.
so loud. It's good. So we could do a couple things. I could fill y'all in and on a few things that happened with the trustee meeting last week and then tag on some follow-up issues. And then Emily is going to share a little bit about regional transportation and clean mobility work that she's been doing. Maybe we could just we'll do the quick trustee follow-up meeting and some of the packet material. And then Emily can talk about transportation. So does I'm not sure I saw an agenda. Does 10 minutes work for you guys?
It's
Okay, fantastic.
fine.
Great. Okay, so there's a printout that I don't actually think made it into the packet. I did email you all and I apologize. I had the old ebook or Google list, so you didn't all receive it 2 weeks ago. So it's for pleasure reading at this point, but happy to answer any questions that you have, if you're able to get into it. So really, we just talked to the trustees to have a quick check-in. We hadn't talked to them over the summer. As Scott mentioned, the building code, so updating all of the codes for town. So fire code, electric, IECC 2021 was it was a huge lift, and it took months. So our team was involved from a stakeholder perspective, helping to host workshops, giving comments on multiple drafts, working with Aaron. And it was a lot of effort, but really great that it happened. So I cannot answer probably a lot of the technical questions from a permit from the code side. Again, happy to refer you to Jeff Dickinson, or Heidi on our team, or Christina, but we can say that the green building checklist was simplified. That went away. That's actually a real help to the building community, because the IUCC update was just so much better than the old code that we were on. So there's no need to have multiple codes happening and builders having to comply with both codes. So that was just a good simplification. It also means that the town will be, I believe, for a while, able to hold the 2021 building code and not go to the new model building code or model carbon code that's coming out this next summer. So any jurisdiction in Colorado that hadn't moved up to 2021 is going to have to adopt a new building code. So we have some jurisdictions, Rifle and other towns in the area, that will be kind of forced into a new building code, which may or may not be even kind of more onerous. So I think we hit a good sweet spot there. And out of that, just a couple minor things that we updated the trustees on. There's a very small efficiency fund. So the town has been collecting fees for years that were from the green building checklist. And there were no guidelines. Nobody knew the funds existed. So we are now writing some guidelines so that rebates can be given out to people who apply for code, apply for building permits. So whether they want to do something more advanced, also to go just to community members. So that's a project that we're tackling. It's small, it's less than $100,000, but it's something. So we can, bless you, so we can hopefully give out heat pump rebates, extra solar rebates. We're figuring out what is acceptable. And then moving forward, and that's just for Carbondale residents. The other thing,
Is there a timeline on that, when those would be available?
we'll definitely want it approved by the end of the year.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We actually didn't talk that much about the path to net zero. I have to say, I think the building codes were they were a big job for the trustees, and talking about something that's a beyond code targets, it's not the right time. So we put it in the packet. It's in y'all's packet material that Ally gave you. So I just encourage you to look at it. So quick background on this document is that in 2019, I believe, and then updated in 2022, there was a concept of, how do we go beyond code? How do we meet our climate goals? Here are some modeled ways that we could set voluntary or mandatory targets that are beyond building code, that are community-wide, to meet some of these greenhouse gas reduction goals, leading all the way up to far in the future 2030, which is pretty aggressive concepts, such as ban natural gas in all new construction. And this is not in the code. It is voluntary. It's an advisory document. Some of the things from this document made it into the code adoption, and many of them did not. And so I think where we're at is just wanting to take a pause. This has been the advice from the trustees. Look at these measures and figure out what is really kind of workable for the community, what makes sense. And so I can just tell you that's kind of where we are right now, and I'd love to keep this an open conversation. And if you all want to, again, look at the document and reach out to me, reach out to the trustees and talk about specific measures, it would be a good opportunity. CLEER informs its work plan out of some of the targets outlined in the path to net zero. So take a pause. Any questions? Let's see, what else came out? Oh, wanted to let y'all know that CLEER did, so Dova, who works with Emily a lot on the same team, and they work to help the town apply for 2 EV grants from the state, and just found out today that they were awarded. So it's 10 new charging stations that will be paid for by the state. And Dova's coordinating right now with, I believe, Kevin, and then with Kirk on just staggering out how to use that money based on the grant guidelines and getting to work probably before the money hits the bank account of the town, because money from the state takes a long time. So that's just some behind the scenes things that are going on, but that's really great news. And then,
Was that grant part of the chargers are going in here behind town hall?
mhm,
Okay, so is that where all 10 are going?
I don't know the answer to that
I don't either,
specifically.
but I know a lot of it was related to the police department.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so
Great.
it was, I think it was quite a bit of money. It's really helpful, and
So
yep.
presumably the ones here won't be publicly accessible, but are some of the other ones going to be publicly accessible or?
Do you know?
is-
I don't know, sorry.
Yeah, okay, no.
I believe there are a few, so I think out front here, there will be either rehabilitation of the old chargers and just updating of equipment, and then possibly a new charger. And yep, so that, I think that just took, again, it's a lot of it's a lot of work to apply for money and to manage the money, but it's good when you have it. So we're really thankful that police chief and team was willing to take that on administratively.
And all level 2 chargers, I'm guessing?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then,
And probably there might have been some bike charging. I don't,
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure. So,
and then is that all billed and metered through the town? Or is that the hope? Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was a quick follow-up piece, and then just a little bit about it.
I hadn't heard the word Go EV City for a while. Are they still behind this?
I think there was some question, and I just heard a little bit about it. I'm happy to check in and get back to you about
Okay.
where the state's charging plan, so looking at how Carbondale relates to 82 and 70. It's who's doing what is the big picture on charging going forward, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yep, I'll write that down though. And then other quick follow-up, Sam, is that solar will be part of the end game of the new roof on Town Hall. So
New
there's
roof.
the
You
roof
said new roof,
of the, yeah, the roof
not
renovation.
repaired roof.
Oh, there's a lot of work happening on the roof right
Okay.
now. Yeah. So the question is just how much can we fit in with the mechanical system?
Yeah, I guess that's what just do you know what percent of like town load we meet through net metering or anything like that? Like, I know we have a little bit on the roof here, we have obviously the rec center, but I'm just wondering if there's still money on the table, not to mention the environmental impacts of like, can we put more solar out just to offset more of our utility bill?
Can you so you were asking how much capacity we have?
So like my understanding is you generally get about 120% of your total annual demand met through net metering. And so especially if we're talking about putting a bunch of new EV chargers, presumably our demand is going to go up quite a bit, probably put us in a new rate class even. And so with that, I'm just wondering, can we put a bunch of solar on to offset some of that? And if the answer is yes, like, should we do that while we still have the 30% tax credit?
I think timing wise, it hasn't been discussed that we could do something like that with the new tax credit guidance, but
We have time, I think we would have through July for that, yeah.
yeah. The other, I think, kind of the other issue is the planning of, we're now looking probably at some more ground mount, and just the planning involved in ground mount.
Sure.
But we did have a really great success story this summer when the rec center hit a really big peak and was going to move us up into the SG rate that truly would have been probably, I think it was $18,000 more. I mean, it's significant. But because they're solar, it shaved that peak enough that we saw it with our energy monitoring program, our AEM program. But Excel didn't see it, which was fantastic. And so in this scenario, how it's metered on the rec center. And so then Heidi was able to get trained in to do a control analysis and training and really look at dialing in the controls on the rec center better so that we wouldn't hit that demand. Because once you hit it, you can't go back for a year. And it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, and things happen, you know, the fashion show, it sounds silly, but there's a lot of the doors are just open in March all the time, in and out, in and out. And that was kind of an issue year before last with energy use in that building. And it's, some things are just kind of hard to manage, but the solar can help. Yeah, so great question to flag.
That's really cool that it's separate.
That it's separate so that you can, that Excel didn't see that bump because a lot of the solar's rewired into the grid and so
Yeah.
that.
It was coincidental. It wasn't a managed peak. I have to say we got off lucky on that. So
Oh.
the peak load was the peak solar. Just time of day,
Right.
hours. That usually that's not normal.
Right.
Yeah. So it was good. Yeah.
Was there any solar plan prior to what Sam submitted, or is that because of what he submitted that they're considering for the roof?
So I probably came on board after that conversation because this roof remodel has been in the works for almost three years, I think. Yes, it's always, can you get solar on the roof? But the question was, does it make financial sense for the amount of solar you could get on to the roof with new mechanical and the upgrades that would have to be made from a loading perspective and all that?
Right.
So I think that it was always in the picture, and maybe at some point it fell out of favor because the system was getting too small. But there's a new team on board, hopefully soon. Yeah. Let's see. Just thinking, I think that addressed some of the questions from the trustee meeting. Wanted to let you know, just the last thing, that there is a really unique grant opportunity for the whole state, just for local jurisdictions, to do implementation funds and policy work. And that opportunity closes in mid-November, and the trustees agreed to work with Garfield Clean Energy to be the host community for a Garfield County-wide proposal for that, which we're shaping with a subcommittee now, but to make up for Excel's low rebates compared to our neighbors in Holy Cross. So Picken and Eagle County, you know, can see $7,500 worth of rebates depending on what a customer is doing. And that might be 7 times as much as what you would see as an Excel customer. We are looking to create a rebate pool just for Garfield County businesses and homeowners that would kind of help make up that differential, and are really grateful to the trustees for being willing to at least continue the conversation. So we plan to get that proposal together and come back to them in November to sign a letter of support for that grant application.
So who would that grant application be to? Like who would fund that? Because it's a great
the
idea.
Colorado Energy Office
Okay.
and the state funding. Yep. And the applications can be up to $2 million per town. So this is some kind of long fought for money, and it was brought up water meters and it's not eligible. So that was possibly
That's what I heard.
on the table. I'm
That's
sorry.
that's
It's such
all
a bummer.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll still get it done.
Yeah. So that's what I have for you all. Any questions before Emily just gives you a quick update on mobility?
Yes, the building codes were set last year, right? They were updated.
Early this year. So they
Early
went into
this
effect
year?
July 1st.
Time flies, okay. And so they're gonna be set in place for some time now. So any other things we might contribute, is gonna have to wait, I assume.
So do you mean from new code measures?
Yes,
There's always the opportunity to pass new ordinances. But I don't see anything that's built into the building code
we
specifically.
can't change the codes. Cause
No.
you talk about workability, but there is also measurability. And what I hear a lot is how can we show how many emission savings this measure will affect? And so we can tell the people we're doing this to save this amount of, sometimes that's hard to measure. For example, my idea about no gas hookups on new construction. How do we measure how many emissions that that will cut? That's hard to do. And we have to convince these people, like the town board, who have to face the voters and say, yeah, we did this for this reason. We need to find ways to measure it.
Mhm. So there's definitely been energy modeling that's happened. So going from one HERS rating scale to, another, that background data was kind of built into the research for both the green building checklist and the building official has had information about IECC in particular, kind of what different measures would mean. From a community perspective, it's an interesting question. So we are updating the greenhouse gas inventory for Carbondale as part of our work plan this year. So that's getting kicked off right now. We have new utility data from Excel, and that'll help us to gauge how we're doing. And I think it's a conversation about rising energy use, also rising population growth, and kind of also more renewable energy on Excel's grid as well, compared to when we first set targets. So I think by the end of the year, we'll have a good new baseline, and I think we should come back and discuss that. It's a really great point. We as an organization, I will say, to have tracking systems for every single thing you do, everything you propose, do the modeling, do the spreadsheet work, do all the communications that it takes to do that. We also just want to acknowledge that it takes quite a bit of time, which costs quite a bit of money. So we just try to go with what's the best practices that bigger towns are doing, the research institutes say is good, and that the climate community says is kind of, this is where we should head.
Will that GHG inventory update, does that satisfy an update to the climate action plan?
No,
No.
it would just be a greenhouse gas inventory.
Okay. Because the climate action plan in here, it says at a minimum, town of Carbondale will perform a comprehensive update of the community emission inventory every 4 years. That's 2017, and a progress report on emissions from energy use will be performed annually. I don't think that's ever been done, and I'm trying to figure out who's the right person to tell to start
Yeah.
doing that.
It's a good point, and I think what we've run into, quite frankly, is the budget to enact that
Okay,
is what it comes down to.
so that
Yeah.
would be in CLEER's work plan if budget was allocated for it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, sorry, we have gone over 10 minutes. Emily Blades, take it away.
Okay, I'll try and be quick. I'm going to talk about the pilot Colorado River and Roaring Fork Valley Transportation Management Organization. So CLEER received initial funding from CDOT to create a transportation management organization, which is a group that works with employers, the business community, civic groups, and local governments, along with transit agencies, to provide support and incentives and alternatives to driving your personal vehicle. So that could look like biking, walking, carpooling, remote work, or public transportation. We ran a pilot program in August called Two Rivers Connect. Did any of you hear about it? Awesome. We had over 600 people participate. They logged 5,000 trips over the month of August, which was 48,000 miles of alternative transportation. which is really fun. It was brought in partnership with the City of Glenwood Springs, Garfield Clean Energy, CDOT, RAFTA, the Garfield County Libraries, Chambers of Commerce through Garfield County, the Glenwood Springs Downtown Development Authority, and the Colorado River Economic Development Partnership. The goal was to test the program structure of having prizes and incentives to encourage people to do things other than drive their personal vehicles by themselves. We gave out a whole bunch of prizes. About 40% of trips had an origin or destination in Glenwood, and 20% had an origin or destination in Carbondale.
Wait, and you said it was 2 months?
It was 1 month
One
in
month.
August.
Okay.
We are just launching a smaller version of the campaign in this for October, and then are working on our winter and spring programming. The bigger goal is to bring communities across the Colorado River and Roaring Fork Valleys together to create this transportation management organization, but using pilot programming alongside that bigger goal to engage people throughout the region. We are working on creating an employer toolkit. So one of the big features has been reaching out to employers, asking them how they can support their employees in either working remotely or carpooling or free buses and all those sorts of pieces. And yeah, we're excited about using this app platform at least through June 2026 to see how that works and make some progress. What questions do you all have?
Is RAFTA piloting free fare later this year?
Yeah,
Is that
that-
related to this or no?
It is unrelated, directly, but obviously complementary. That's October 1st through November 30th.
Okay. And do you know what metrics they're looking for to gauge success?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think they are trying to see what happens to ridership when they remove fares. Obviously, one factor in that is that we are moving out of kind of any peak season. And so it's interesting to see what happens. But their question, I think their biggest question is what happens to ridership when you remove a fare?
Yeah.
Or put it back on.
Danger.
You were talking remote work, so if somebody started remote work in this month, that would count against as one of those 45,000.
Yeah, so you could count a remote work day as a trip where you used alternative transportation. That does make it a little tricky to market that, but yes, saying you didn't travel those miles, so.
Was there anybody who was trying to get a prize to, I did 20 days of remote work?
That's like a remote worker.
I did 20 days of remote work.
We did have a line in our prize, drawings that said you may have to prove what you did in order to get a prize.
I'm just curious, is that skewing the numbers by a lot of people opting into remote work or?
Remote work was not, most people were biking. I think 45% of trips tracked were people biking places, which is, I think, characteristic of August. And I think will be interesting to see how that changes for October.
Did any town money go towards this program? Or there was a whole list there, sorry.
I think some town money may have gone through the CLEER Town of Carbondale Clean Mobility line, but I think that was more related to bike there.
Okay.
But I don't know the specifics on the budget for that.
Cool, thanks.
I love it. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Sounds like a successful experiment, and I hope it continues to be so.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Of course, and if anyone wants a handout later, let me know.
Yeah, will you leave them over on that table or with
Yeah.
Allie? That'd be great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thanks,
for
Lauren.
volunteering.
All right, we'll move on to action items. The first one is to review the application of Nicole Rome. I assume that's Nicole over there. And I'm sure we've all read it, and we can ask Nicole some questions that we think are pertinent, and then we'll,
Good evening, yeah.
We're giving Kevin kudos for his recruitment.
I was admiring the pollinator gardens in our neighborhood, and he said, "Oh, the town of Carbondale Environmental Board helped put them in." So then I said, "Oh, tell me more." I had already actually been thinking about applying, and then realized Kevin sits on the board. So, hello, everyone. As you mentioned, Fred, my name is Nicole Ram. I'm a recent resident of Carbondale, just moved here from the Twin Cities in Minnesota in August, but I'm no stranger to the Roaring Fork Valley. I've been coming here most of my life to ski in the winter and had a life-changing experience just up the valley in Marble with Colorado Outward Bound School when I was in high school. And so I've long wanted to move here and finally made the leap. I've spent more than 20 years professionally in the environmental conservation and climate space, mostly in the nonprofit sector. You can see through my application materials, I've worked at the local level, the regional level, and the national level, and currently work for a national NGO that's focused on climate resiliency and works with regional governments, local governments, and community-based orgs on advancing climate resiliency. So that's my professional hat. And I'm really interested in joining the environmental board for two reasons. One, just to build my connections to the community and give back as a new resident to Carbondale, and to bring my experience as it's relevant to support the work that you're all advancing. And already I've been learning a lot, been listening to CLEER, and worked with similar organizations in Minnesota that had partnerships with the local utilities to advance a lot of the progress that you're making here in Carbondale. So yeah, excited to meet all of you and observe tonight, and happy to answer any questions you have.
I just want to start with a comment. I'm very impressed by your resume, and what jumped out to me was, your experience in grant writing.
Yeah, listening. So the org that I run our US portfolio in climate. We were a recipient for 3 large EPA grants that unfortunately have all been clawed back. And much of our work was providing technical assistance to local governments and community-based orgs to access Inflation Reduction Act and climate pollution reduction grants. Much of the money that Lauren, you were speaking of, that luckily Colorado was able to save, and looks like they're deploying across the state, which is great. So yeah, I do have a lot of experience in grant writing.
Great, that's needed. We just missed the boat on a grant from Aspen One, which was for environmental
The
causes that
foundation.
we could have jumped on and used that money somehow. And it's good to have a grant writer on board. That's my only comment. I really don't have a question. Anybody else have any questions?
I'm excited to get to know you because I too am from Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I'm just happy that you are applied and that you're interested, and it sounds like we could use your expertise on the board. It'd be great.
Awesome. You're not related to Doug Shoemaker.
I am not, because my name was Han. My Minnesota name was Han. This is my
Okay.
Colorado name.
Okay, got it. He's active in renewable energy in Minnesota. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
Okay. It's exciting that you applied. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need more help. Like, we're all pretty new to this, absent Kevin.
If you don't know, I'm the only one here who was on this board a year ago at this time.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
so we're all a bunch of newbies, but I think incredibly well qualified, except for myself. And we're looking for more newbies to come in and have some fresh ideas, and I'm sure you'll do that.
Yeah, I feel bad. I'm outspoken and not afraid to speak up, but excited to get to know more as I dig into local issues here in Carbondale and in the Valley.
I don't mean to date you in any way,
No, you
but
can't.
what year did you graduate Bates?
Oh, 2000.
My wife graduated from Bates in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Almost
That's amazing. Yeah.
connected.
Another nest guy, Bates
That's-
Bobcat.
that's
Yeah, I loved it.
Rare around here, I think.
I'm sure once we connect, I know people in common because the whole school is only
It's very small.
1,700 people,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, I move that we approve Nicole Rom for membership in the environmental board.
Seconded. No.
Do we-
Oh,
Recommend approval to the Board of Trustees.
Okay, I recommend approval to the Board of Trustees for Nicole Rom to the environmental board. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Nicole.
Sure.
And Nicole, we just, you just missed our recommendations, like of what we're focusing on, our priorities for 2026 that we talked about with the Board of Trustees last month.
Okay.
And, but I've compiled it into a document that I'm just gonna get the last updates on, and I'll
Great.
just make sure you have access to that, and I'll make sure you have access to kind of our guiding documents folder, with other stuff in it, and you can get yourself updated as you have time.
Great. And Ally and Scott, do you provide some sort of orientation or is it mainly those materials for?
I can send you information on just procedure
Okay,
policy
that's helpful.
and how to.
Climate action plan, things like the climate action plan, she could probably use that.
Yeah,
That'll be in my stuff that I send her.
yeah, that'll be board specific stuff, but anything from boards and commissions kind of procedure, I can send you rules and orders and such
Okay,
like that.
thank you.
And then I'm here for support and anything. But yeah, I'll send you a whole little onboarding packet and then Beth will send you information board specific.
Great.
I'm mostly here just to chase things down in
Okay.
town hall, see what I can.
And I'm happy to get coffee if you don't
Yeah.
hit your neighbor up,
We can chat
up
minutes
first.
at
You can chat minutes.
We have, well, we won't get into it now. Thanks for being here though,
Of course,
and
Ken.
for applying so quickly and appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your plan for 2026 for the E board. Because I think that gives us a good plan to follow and to actually follow up, and all these good words we're coming up with need to be followed up with some action. And we're gonna see that we get that done in 2026. So
Great.
E-board has been accused of being all talk and no action before, and if I do one thing here, I'm gonna change that. We are gonna change that. Thank you, Nicole.
Sure. Should I sit back here? Okay. We're part of the process.
Stay here, be part of it. You're not official yet.
All right, the VCAPS review. Where do we stand on this? Did we ever approve the VCAPS program, Ally?
Why would I do that?
I think the report is done and was presented to the Board of Trustees. I think this is just kind of the final look at it after Gwen gave a presentation to the
Okay.
town. That coincided with, I think, our last meeting.
Yeah,
I had two quick questions on it. Scott, just get back to water for a bit. I mean, I think VCAPS was intimidating for a lot of us because it deals with so many things and there's a lot of acronyms. Or like, I've come to just understand it as really drought and wildfire resiliency, kind of looking at a long perspective. I think it is great to hear that like you're already obviously thinking about these in a far more practical, like day-to-day manner of how we'll make sure we have water in 2040. Two things though that came to mind when I read through this that raised my eyebrows a bit. One was Giamatti Park. In this report, at least, they say that's water with domestic water supply, which seemed a little surprising. Which park? Giannetti Park.
Giannetti.
Yeah, next to the cemetery there.
Yeah, there's still a handful of pretty large spaces that are watered with domestic water
Okay.
that I have met with. I don't want to go so far as saying worked with, but I know the Parks Department is working on trying to convert some of those over. So
Sewage, okay.
there's a budget, time, labor
Yeah.
issue to making that happen, and most of them require some level of capital improvement to make that happen. I guess Gianetti used to be watered with ditch water. The pump is actually over by the cemetery and pumped all the way around. And somewhere underground, that piping has broken, which is why it requires like a capital project. Over the last 10 years, I would say, 9 years, the overall town of Carbondale has driven down domestic water consumption by a pretty significant amount. And I believe a lot of that is contributed to getting a lot of our parks and right-of-way space off of domestic water and onto ditch water.
Cool.
So, yeah, I think during peak demand, we've reduced maybe almost 500,000 gallons a day from in 2015, 2016. There was a master plan that was half done, it never got completed. And they reported in that master plan that typical peak consumption was around 2 million gallons per day, and now we're more like 1.5, 1.6.
Cool. And yeah. Okay, that's cool to hear. Well, there's a sheet in there with like largest sources, I think that Gwen identified that are still on water, domestic water, and Gianetti was at the top. Like it's measured by acreage. So if there's a low hanging fruit, it seems like it would be that. And then the other thing, there's some really good reporting, and this is mentioned in VCAPS from Aspen Journalism last year, looking at ditches on the Crystal. And one thing that really pops out from that, and Kevin Schultzman is interviewed in the piece, just the very low efficiency of Carbondale ditch and the Weaver and Lee and Hardy ditch, specifically.
Pause.
Yeah.
Read that closely. She misapplied science, and you're a
Okay.
scientist.
Okay, I didn't read through all the
Took
methodology.
a spatial
Yeah.
spatial tool that is not applicable to landmass, land area
Small acreage.
smaller than like 20 acres, and
Okay.
applied it to yards in this town.
Okay.
It's not applicable.
Okay, totally think that's fair. Just
Mhm.
the journals. Yeah, the only thing I was gonna say is like if there's more places where covering can be put in or tarping underneath, it seems like that's kind of a practical takeaway from this, but it sounds like that's already being worked on.
Yeah, I think there is room to do some ditch efficiency to not lose water into the ground. Although all of our rivers are water gaining rivers, so anything we're losing to the ground goes back into the river. Our return flows, like this whole summer, once things sort of really dried up and the river, especially Crystal River, really dropped, we would not have had any water for our ditches if it weren't for the return flows from all the upstream users.
Alien, yeah.
So, I mean, no, granted, if they didn't take it at all, we'd have it too, but
Yeah.
everyone's using it. That low ditch efficiency, a lot of it does return, right?
Okay.
Now, obviously, you lose some to evapotranspiration, plant uptake, but yeah, there is something to be said about how all of that whole system works and the return flows and losing it into the ground versus we also have where we take out water from our 4 ditches. There are, I haven't counted, 10 to 15 places where our ditches return back into the river. Any unused water just comes back in. So it's a dynamic system.
Cool. Okay, well, thanks. Yeah, I was working my way through VCAPS and trying to understand it all, and it definitely takes a very, like, I would say, pessimistic view on our outlook, but it sounds like this is things that are already top of mind, so it's good to know.
Yeah, it's definitely something as a whole water picture that utilities is working on as, the operators of our ditch system as well as our domestic system. I did have to push back some of our more upfront capital projects just because I want to focus on making sure that our drinking water system is more resilient. But we do have a couple of things on deck as soon as we can get kind of Roaring Fork plant basically tidied up. And we're gonna put in a new head gate at the Crystal or at the Carbondale ditch head gate. It'll match the Weaver head gate that was done in the Crystal River Restoration Project. So I don't know if you've been over there, but it's a nice head gate. And the cool thing with that is we're gonna be able to automate that. So we never take out more than we really need. You can basically just set it at a kind of a set point and take out what we need.
Cool.
So that's kind of our first two capital improvements. I think I have those planned for 2028, 2029. And then it might be a little bit of a long shot, but I'm going to attempt to try to build a little bit of a stakeholder coalition around maybe a Crystal River restoration project. More simple than what was recently done by the Crystal Bridge area with all the upland restoration, mostly focused on keeping the river channel a little more narrow and functional and stabilized at all the ditch takeouts. So doesn't keep all the water in the river, but tries to keep what water is in the river functional.
Yeah.
And one of the big environmental degradation points that we have in the river is us included and everybody else in this whole reach, essentially from the KOA to town. When the river runs low, everyone brings in heavy equipment and pushes up cofferdams and then just destroys the river. And we have to do the same because that's the only way we get water into the ditches. So long-term, I'll call it my career to retirement plan is to try to build a group, a coalition of all the water users on this part to let's chip in and figure out what we can do to just simply stabilize the river. We can't fix it all, but if everyone just tries to make it so they don't have to get in the river and push up cofferdams every year and take them down every year, basically getting in the river twice a year, that'd be great.
Yeah, cool.
So,
I think with all of Tom Bailey's land now going to a trust, that might be workable. We'll see.
we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks.
That might take some effort. We'll see.
Yeah, what I perception of VCAPS is doesn't offer climate solutions. It says, how are we going to react to what the climate effects are going to be, so. And we need to approve the VCAPS report, or has that already been done?
I
Ellen?
don't think it's an approval thing. It's just. a report.
I don't know the process. I think it was just her summing up, and presenting to the board, and then I think she did that public presentation, and this is kind of summarization of that.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there's an approval process.
So I don't need to make a motion.
I don't. I mean, you could if you wanted to.
All right.
If you as a board approve the work that she's done.
I so move that the environmental board approve the VCAPS report.
I feel qualified to approve of that report. I mean, she presented it to the Board of Trustees, right?
Yes.
So it's already done.
Yeah, I don't think there was an approval process for it. But I haven't been here for very long, but the E-board did participate in funding her work around this.
That was my understanding.
So,
So maybe all you have to do is accept receipt. Is that
yeah.
something you need to do?
Do we still owe any payment on it, or is it paid for?
I think it's been paid.
Yeah, I think that's.
Accept it.
Except, yeah.
All right. I move that we accept the VCAPS report. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the ADNK and Sopra Sun PSAs and Sopra Sun ads. I talked to Luke Nestler today. He runs the PSAs at KDNK. And as I expected, PSAs are free. It wouldn't cost us anything. We submit them to him, and then he has the right to edit them if he wants. And then after that, how often he runs them is strictly up to him. If he gets the feeling that the message has gotten across, he'll quit running them. if we submit more than one, which we could do, one could follow the other. Now, as far as what these things are gonna say, I think, Doug, we're gonna depend on you. You can, send me what Luke says the typical PSA is about 3 sentences. And, you can, send that to me and I'll pass it along to him. Okay?
And happy to workshop that next meeting, like if we need to polish it up or don't.
Yeah, yeah, send it to me and I'll pass it along to him. Now,
Will you share it with all of us?
That might be something you want to bring to the board and the board approve it before it gets published. So, yeah. Absolutely. Prep that for next meeting and then.
okay. So we're moving forward on that one. As you can see, the Soper Sun would, charge us for a quarter page ad, $300 per insert. Reduced for a nonprofit. Now, Luke told me that because we're a government organization, we get the same privileges as a nonprofit, so maybe that $210 they offer for a nonprofit, we could get a hold of that. There are other discounts. We could run an ad from September through December. September's gone now, but it would be $2,000 total, and run it and sold to Valier for 50 cents off of that. So I haven't set up anything with them because we need to have some kind of idea of what we are going to have in this ad. Is it going to be just words? Or do you think we could have some visuals or something?
I think we need some sort of visual.
I'm happy to put something together if we develop the content at next meeting
Okay.
after that. I think we could have some visual to work off.
Yeah, and you can depend on Doug for the words.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be promoting recycling and,
Yeah.
recycling right. Huh? Recycling right. And composting.
Yeah. Well, it's great to have like the perspective of the person who actually sees the actual problems and how people are recycling around here. Like, let's fix the problems that exist.
Yeah, this lady from Soper Sun mentioned that she would love to educate readers on correct recycling and composting, so we will fulfill her wish. Okay,
So with it being 4 months essentially for $2,000,
yes,
and then it runs once a week, so it's 12, essentially 16 times for $2,000.
yes,
So that's, seems like the way to go if we are gonna get money approved for
yes.
running the ad. And does that come out of, do we need to, how do we get that money or how do we get approved for that money?
How does bag fee money get allocated?
Yeah.
Is this a bag fee project?
Mhm.
Yes,
That's a good question.
I think the board gave us runway when we presented this as an idea to them last time. So I think if we get approval and say, hey, here's that, we're looking to go, give it to the board, I'm sure then it can come to accounts payable.
Yeah, so if we can get the wording down, so we'll get the wording down for both these things next month and then send it on to them for approval with the amount of money that we want
yes.
to get it done. Okay, perfect. That
Both the
sounds
wording for
good.
the PSA and the Soper Sun ad. Present that to the board
Yeah,
next month and get rolling on it.
I would just make sure that the Sober Sun ad, it's all based on dimension side, right?
Quarter page, yeah.
Quarter page, okay, yeah, for yeah, as long as you get that put together, I'm sure they'll.
But that's the process.
it.
So we got we'll give them a package to approve, wording, finances.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm thinking of is your budget for this year. Do you guys know what your budget is or what's been spent? I feel like there was some kind of spreadsheet that Hannah Hunt had together.
I think, I can look back on that. Let me see if that's in here.
We have a budget.
And I think the only
7,000?
thing,
Six.
yeah,
Beginning of the
Six
year,
or
but I know
7,000?
that some was then given
It's
to
for-
friendly and whatnot, right?
VCAPS and then for Be Friendly and for the turf replacement, was that out of us or was that out of the town?
That's a grant.
That's a
of some
grant.
sort.
Grant.
Yeah.
What would you match by town? And so I think this year, the only thing that we're proposing is to forward Be Friendly Gardens. And then the rest of what we're proposing comes out of the bag fee
Okay, so your,
stuff.
so your budget is spent for the year thus far, and then anything extra is coming from bag fee?
I'll double check,
Okay.
but I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
But I'll circulate that.
because you might want to just make sure that there's, I mean, if there's 2,000 in your funds allocated for this year, then you might as well just use your funds for these ads. Unless,
Well, I think what we're trying to do is put together a package to use the bag fee funds for what they were intended to be used for.
Okay.
So, but I'll look at that and
But if-
send you a summary.
To Ally's point, if there's nothing else we're gonna spend our money on,
Maybe there
It's
is
gonna go-
something we
Yeah.
won't spend our
Yeah.
money on.
That's-
money can roll over, the funds can't.
That's true. Right.
exactly, yeah,
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
And Dandelion Day, we pay for Dandelion Day.
That was it.
In my long 2 years here, you haven't not spent that money. Don't think it's an issue.
Yes.
Okay, finally, are we done with that subject? Scott has very graciously given us this list of multifamily homes in Carbondale.
If you see her, thank Kay for that. She dug through all of her info and hand typed that up. That was, I mean,
Thank you, Kay.
what, just saying it wasn't that's not something we track, so she had to go digging for it. And yeah, just thank Kay if you see her.
Anyway, what do we do with this? There's a lot of multifamily homes in this list.
I think ball's probably in our court. We probably should type up an official kind of plan of what we would like to do for this. This is just a reminder of composting, offering single source composting in multifamily buildings as a pilot program. And so I would think we should type up some of the stipulations around that, rough budget, how many buildings we want to accept in a kind of pilot cohort. And then once we have approval from the board, probably reach out to all of these buildings to be equitable and offer them to apply to be part of this pilot program.
Reach out how? Phone calls, emails?
The same letter to each one?
Yeah, I think a letter to each one and then maybe also an ad in the Soper Sun that to get maybe more resident action, like, hey, if you live in a multifamily building, the town of Carbondale is offering this pilot program, go ask your building manager to participate. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And we're offering free composting and 50% off and
So this is specifically for multifamily where we are offering 100% covered for the building for a 1-year pilot with the possibility to extend dependent on available funds in the bag fee.
we're paying for that with bag fee money.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't expect it to be very expensive.
No.
Yeah.
Do you-
Next step is we have to get some,
I'll type up kind of a 1-pager on like program details, I guess, and then maybe we can vote on that, edit it next board and vote on it.
Do you think do you want any help getting budget numbers in place, or do you feel like,
Sure, yeah, yeah,
or does that feel easy to you? Like,
I feel like it's gonna be pretty easy, like I think, I'm blanking on the name right now, Evergreen Zero Waste, they publish what it costs for like a 55-gallon can for compost, so I think it's just gonna be that per month times however many.
okay,
See if, we're gonna bring her 30 more accounts on one bill.
Yeah,
You don't have to worry about collections, you don't have to worry about sending them multiple
Yeah.
bills. There should be some percentage discount. It's like signing up. for
Yeah.
system.
yeah.
I'm only
Right.
sending out one bill for 20 accounts. My
mean-
life is easy.
it might make sense for one of us to reach out to Alyssa at this point and just give her an overview of what we're looking to do here.
Do you want me to do that or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like talking to people as much as you do, it seems, so that sounds great.
You do the numbers and the
Yeah.
details and I'll take care of the people.
Sounds good.
One bill for 15 or 20 locations, with no collection.
Yeah, and incentive, I mean, it's a boost to her business.
Okay, so we're not ready to go to the Board of Trustees with how much this is gonna cost yet.
You have to see how many people sign up.
Yeah.
For the free service. Not everybody wants free stuff.
I think we go though and we say like, we are looking to accept up to X number of buildings and that will cost this amount. So like, we can give them an upper limit
Yeah.
for a pilot program.
Yeah, I think keeping them abreast
Yeah,
as much as we can, it's gonna make it easier in the long run.
yeah.
Well, let's check with Elisa to see how much it's gonna cost.
Good conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so we're moving ahead on these things.
One thing, I'm
Yeah,
gonna wait for your,
I'll get that to you by this time next week.
oh, awesome.
all right. So I think we've covered it all. Thank you again, Scott, for thanks Kay for putting that together.
There you go.
And
I take no credit.
I think we're ready to make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
I,
Thank you all very much. And we'll see,
woohoo.
we'll see you on the third Monday of October.
Question, quick, oh, for